Hello, new school comic book reviews. On the way home from the comic book store, I went to the grocery store, and a lady gave me some stamps after I got out of line. I guess usually what happens is if you save enough of these stamps and put them on a little board, you might win like a little prize or whatever. Like, I don't know, pots and dishes and stuff like that. So I got the stamps I got from making my grocery purchases. Plus, I got extra stamps because the lady in front of me decided she didn't want her stamps after all. So, free stamps for me. Um, Before I get into the comic books, I just wanted to say I've been watching a lot of people's videos this week and a lot of interesting stuff. It's kind of born out of Ghost Verdict's video from last week, where he, posed a question about, do people try to legitimize or over legitimize comics, or I guess the comic book hobby or whatever. And it's been really interesting. A lot of people, it really sparked a really interesting debate in the comic sections, and as well as people making response videos. My thing is, I always felt as a hobby, comics were already legitimate. They're as legitimate as collecting stamps or butterflies or baseball cards or doing crafting, or there's people who collect porcelain dolls and Barbies and things like that. So I never felt that aspect of it really needed to be legitimized, although I do understand, let's face it, even though comics have been a lot more accepted in the last few years, there's still that stigma about it. There's still that it's a really weird, geeky thing to be doing if you're, past a certain age or whatever. Um, but that's okay though. I mean, I think everybody's got the right to enjoy whatever hobby they want to enjoy, as long as they're not hurting anybody else. I think as far as like the reviews and things like that go, I think it's great that people have different sort of styles and different approaches, and they're into the hobby or whatever for whatever individualistic reason you're into it. There are people who show haul videos, or people talk about how they found this great deal on eBay or at the flea market. There are people who are really into the whole thing of grading comics, and they'll be like, I've got Clobber Girl 94. It's in mint condition. I've got it CG graded as a 10.5, and I've got it vacuum sealed and everything like that. There's somebody else who's going to pick up Clobber Girl and be like, hey, I just really like this really cool fight scene, And, then the next person will be like, oh, what Clobber Girl represents is the duality of man and our propensity to create while our desire to destroy, and blah blah blah. And that's fine, you know what I mean. I dig it that you can get so many different types of opinions and interpretations of a particular story or a particular comic or whatever, and that's what art's all about. That's what entertainment's about. um, the ability to move people or inspire people in different sorts of ways. I know what my own things, I really wish I actually was better at doing the kind of analytical thing. But, you know, um, but I like it, watching people who can, put Clobber Girl into a historical background, or, certain people on the internet who can say, hey, you know what? This issue of Clobber Girl looks very similar to this issue of Spandex Lady. It's because Jim Shooter, was working for DC, then he came over to Marvel and he brought the ideal over, and blah, 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 and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, just really interesting videos from everybody, from, Howler Mouse to, T-Bird, and Sleepy Reader, and everybody throwing in their 2 cents, and Reader 1717. And what I want to say, I just thought it was really inspiring. I thought it was very thought provoking in a good way, and that's another great thing too, because it's, as well as just getting comics and completing runs and things like that. Occasionally, a really deep discussion can be provoked, and that's great. Okay, so anyway, on to the comic books I bought this week. Not a huge big haul or anything like that. I have the Hulk #8, written by Gary Dugan penciling by Mark Bagley, and the inks are by Drew Hennessy. I have not been reading the Hulk regularly. I totally bought this comic book on a whim. I'd seen some scans that somebody put on a particular website showing off some of the Mark Bagley art and Red She-Hulk and stuff like that. So I just bought it for the hell of it. Now, I actually really enjoy Mark Bagley's art. I mean, he kind of has that whole kind of old school feel where it's where you can see like traces of like guys like John Byrne and Joe and Sal Buscema and even guys like George Tuska and stuff like that. I just really dig his art. I think it's a lot of fun. I guess what's going on in this issue is that the Hulk is going around. Well, I guess the Bruce Banner persona is dead, but the Hulk has gotten smart, and what he's doing is he's going around curing everybody else who has been infected with the gamma radiation or whatever. And so I guess previously he cured Rick Jones, who was A-bomb for a short period of time. Now he's going after Red She-Hulk, and that's what this issue was about. Having said that, it's an okay issue. I don't know if I'm going to keep reading it. Maybe I'll get the next issue or two, and I'll probably just get the next issue and decide if I want to like keep reading it or get the back issues or anything like that. But it was fun. It was light. It was breezy. But it was a good time. It was pretty interesting. Or I'm sorry, it was pretty easy to kind of jump on board and figure out what was going on. So it's not really that confusing or anything like that. So all in all, kind of a fun issue. Next I have Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. And this was written by Al Ewing, and the art, I'm guessing the art is by Luke Ross and Ivan Coelho. This is with the Sam Wilson Captain America, and I think it kind of suffers from being kind of tying in a little bit too much to or I think last issue did anyway, from tying in a little bit too much with the Axis inversion event going on with Marvel. I'm not really reading that, but it was a little bit, the last issue was a little bit, I don't know. It was too much of the tie-in and not enough of the main comic. This particular issue actually has more of the actual team in it. And so it looks like they're going to kind of go off in their own plot. Basically, what I've been able to figure out is Tony Stark, Sam Wilson, and Luke Cage have had their personalities reversed. So they're actually acting a little bit more like bad guys than they are like good guys. This issue was a little bit better, like I said, than the first issue. It's a little bit clearer. You're actually getting most of the team. I think, let's see here. I think the art kind of suffers a little bit. I don't know if it was a rush job or whatever, but it just seems a little bit, just get it done and get it turned in. You know what I mean? Luke Ross is not maybe one of my favorite artists, but here, I mean, it just seems like the bare minimum was done just to get the issue done or whatever. It just really felt like a rush job. I'm still kind of intrigued where they're going to take the story. Hopefully, it'll be a fun enough issue or a fun enough story, I should say, that the comic sticks around for a minute. My biggest fear is that people who probably don't follow a lot of Marvel comics and don't know how these events and tie-ins and things work might pick up the comic thinking that Sam's normal personality is that he's an asshole, and Luke is an asshole, and Tony Stark is an asshole, when really, like I said, this ties into what's going on in other comics where they've got their personality reversed. But we'll see what happens. Other comic book I got is New Avengers 27. Okay, I'm going to have to like reread this because Well, here, the story is by Jonathan Hickman, and the art is Simon Kudranski or Kudranski. And this is just a big, weird, crazy, metaphysical, I don't know what the hell. But I'm not saying that's bad, it's just that I couldn't take it all in. I think there's another comic that is tying into other things that I'm not reading. A little bit of the inversion, maybe, but I know I haven't been reading um, No Adjective Avengers, so I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing. But basically, there's a big, crazy fight with some people who, like I said, I think are from the other comic, having a fight with Nahili, or however you say his name, and the Black Priest and whatnot. Doc Strange shows up, and there's a big discussion about what are the next steps they're supposed to take. Also, we get to see a bit of Doctor Doom and the Molecule Man trying to decide what their next step is to deal with the inversion. I'm pretty interested in how this big tale is going to be turned out. Like I said, this particular issue, I'm gonna have to reread it. I'm probably missing things from not buying the tie-in comics, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Other comic books I got was Pax Americana. I wasn't gonna get this comic again. It's one of these things that ties into something that I'm not buying. It ties into the whole multiversity thing going on at DC. And like I said, I wasn't gonna get it, but a guy at my normal comic book store was talking it up to somebody last week, and I've seen a few other people do videos where they really like it, so I thought I'd give it a shot. So I'm probably, well, I may or may not do a separate review for this comic book because it looks pretty interesting. It looks like what the ideal is was taking the Charleston characters that DC bought back in the 80s, Blue Beetle, Question, Captain Atom, and putting them into a Watchmen type world. Whereas, if for people who don't know, the Watchmen were really supposed to be those characters, but DC made Alan Moore change the characters around. So I think this seems like to be kind of a meta postmodern commentary on that sort of thing, where you take the parody and you switch it around to the thing that was real, or I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway, yeah. Also got this, haven't read it yet, Odyssey by Matt Fraction and Christian Ward. It looks like a big crazy psychedelic science fiction thing. I basically just bought it because I saw Ghost Critics showing it off, and it just looked weird and crazy and out there. So yeah. Got Catwoman 38. Haven't read it yet, but looks interesting. Got Stumptown 2 and 3. Not a fan of the art of this comic, but I like Greg Rucka, I like the character, I like the mystery, so. And I also got this. I asked the guy at the comic book store if he had any back issues of Grindhouse, and this is the only one they had. So I got it. I'll probably have to get some more, online or something like that. I thought this was funny. There's a couple of fake ads for make-believe B movies. One is Sister Justice, and the other one is Hellcat. Look, the other one is Hellcat Commandos. And it's funny, in the credits, most of the names I recognize are like real people too, like Tamara Dobson, Bernie Casey, Shelley Winters, Antonio Fargas. Over here it's John Saxon, Richard Roundtree, Bruce Glover, directed by Fred Williamson. So I just got a good laugh out of that. So anyway, that's that. I'm gonna try to have a couple more videos up by before the weekend's over, or at least I'm gonna try. I've got one I already recorded, and another one I'm going to try to do either later today or tomorrow. So that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.